President, please be seated. The court is now back in session, and I would like to inform parties that the chamber will hear the testimony of 2 TCCP 1069 tomorrow. And now I give the floor to Defense Counsel for Nuon Chea to put question to the civil party. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no questions for this witness. However, I'm afraid I have to revisit the subject of the other witness to TCW 1069 because it appears that indeed his DC Cam statement is available in an English translation. However, the other witness to TCW 1070, who is, as you know, closely related to 1069, because they're both relatives and have been working for SOPIM, that DC Cam statement, which is E3/10717, is in French only available, and that is a DC Cam statement of 88 pages in French, which for me, if I have to lead that witness, of course, would be highly problematic. And in addition, I think it would be worth reminding that both witnesses, the decision on them being summoned was only made on the 22nd of November, which is 8 days ago, bringing my team, who is busy with the preparation into all kinds of difficulties. But that is not the most important reason. The most important reason is that 10717 is in French available only, and therefore it's very difficult.
Is there any indication when the translation will be finished? Do you know?
We don't know.
President, thank you. I would like to clarify that it is 2 TCW 1069, not 2 TCCP 1069. We will try to solve this problem. Now I give the floor to Judge Marc Lavenge.
Oui, encore une fois pour clarifier.
Yes, once more, I need clarification because I'm not sure I understood properly in interpretation. Counsel Kope, you are saying that you are no longer ready for tomorrow afternoon. Are you in a position to tell us when you'll be ready to examine the witness? Can it be possible that you'll be able to do so next week?
Yes, of course. Presumably I would be ready tomorrow, but it all depends on the availability of an English translation of E3/10717, which is the DC Cam statement of the closely related witness to TCW 1070. So as long as there's no English translation, I won't be able to question either one of them also next week, obviously, but I presume an English translation will be available shortly.
Yeah.
Very well. And in the event of the English translation not being ready tomorrow, would you nevertheless be ready to examine the witness next week? Because I do understand that there is at least a French translation, and you may have some possibilities or some human resources in your team to assist you with that French translation.
Ça c'est vrai, juge Lavergne, mais je ne crois pas.
We'll see, Jatavin, but I do not think.
I can read it, but I need the English translation because I need to be able to confront the witness with what the other witness has said, and I need to have extensive knowledge, I believe, and insight of both witnesses.
Donc, tant que ces deux déclarations...
So long as the two statements are not available in English, you will not be ready to proceed to the examination of the witness. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
President, now let me ask you again. We have already decided that we will have the witness to testify tomorrow afternoon because we have listened to parties, and you, Counsel Victor Kope, is the one who proposed the witness. So you advise us that you would be fine with this. And now we have decided that we will have the witness to testify tomorrow afternoon. And you said that the relevant document from DC Camp has already been translated. And after we decided that we would call the witness to testify tomorrow afternoon, you said that you are not ready yet. So now we would like to ask about your exact position. Please confirm to us, and please make it short and simple, because now things become complicated.
Yes, I apologize. Maybe the translation wasn't very clear, Mr. President. Before the break, I said yes, we would be willing to proceed. However, that was based on insufficient information, because the second witness, who is very closely related to TCW 1069, has also given a statement to DC Cam, but there's only a Khmer version and a French version available. Just to remind you, both are closely related to SOPIM, and you decided to have them appear simultaneously. So it's very difficult to proceed questioning one witness without having the knowledge of what the other witness has testified to DC Cam. So I'm very sorry to have to withdraw my earlier consent or decision, but that's because I wasn't informed of the non-availability of the English version of that DC Cam statement. That's why I now say it's difficult, if not impossible, to proceed.
President, so it looks like that it will not be possible even next week. It looks like that we cannot do it this year. So based on your work scope and your experience, when do you think you will be ready?
May I make a suggestion before we make it?
President, I would like to get the answer from you first, related to the documents. When will you be ready?
I will repeat my answer. The moment that the English translation of the DC Cam statement of the other witness is available, which I have no reason to presume that won't happen next week, I will be able to proceed next week. So if that translation gets the utmost urgency or priority for translation, then I will be ready to proceed next week, no problem.
I just want to ask a question. Has this translation been requested? I mean, we're just trying to check if it has been done, but has it been requested by whoever?
I believe so, yes.
Do you know when?
It must be because there is now also an English translation available of the other one. So I presume that is done in the same request.
I understand our staff is just checking where this translation is, so perhaps we wait until we know when it will be available with a decision. Might be one way forward.
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Yes, Mr. President. I would like to make some remarks in this regard. If the problem of language continues to arise, we'll have other difficulties because regarding 2 TCW 920, we also have a long DCCAM statement which is only available in French and in Khmer. Now, I hope that we will not postpone the hearing of this witness who is supposed to appear on Tuesday. In any case, we for our part have Francophones and Anglophones, and I believe that the language problem wouldn't arise because I do understand that a long document that is in French and that is related to the statements of the witness 2 TCW 1069 presents difficulties. But I believe that within a week the problem will be solved. The Nunchia defense team does have at least 2 national lawyers who can intervene in this chamber. They also have several French-speaking staff who understand fully well what is said in French. So if it is a question of reading extracts of statements given to DCCAM, the National Council can read the relevant extracts in Khmer. I believe that they require more preparation, certainly, but there are solutions in existence as to how we can resolve this problem. I don't think we should postpone the hearing of several witnesses to an indefinite date, whereas we have solutions within the different teams and parties.
Mr. President, to answer your question, I am being informed that the request for translation was done in both, in relation to both witnesses on the 28th of October, and there is an expected date of finishing the 21st of November. So apparently it's almost done, or in any case they are late, but I presume that a translation will be done shortly.
Très courte observation.
Very brief remarks, because my team informs me that the translation has been done already. It has already been translated into document, and it's only a question of placing it on Xylab. The translation of the DCCAM has already been done in English. The translation of the DCCAM statement has already been done in English.
Je ne sais pas si on parle du...
I do not know whether my colleague of the civil party is talking of the second statement of the other witness, but not of the witness 1069, but is she also talking of the other witness?
Peut-être qu'on peut en...
Counsel Giro, that is what I've been told. Perhaps we can cross-check this with the court officer and have him cross-check that during the lunch break and give us a definitive answer after lunch.
C'est le deuxième.
I mean the second, that is 2 TCW 1069, whose DCCAM statement has been translated.
President, thank you. We will deliberate regarding this issue in the afternoon session, that is after lunch break. Court officers will review these aspects, and you will need to inform the chamber in a timely manner. And now I give the floor to the defense counsel for Kyew Sampon to put questions to the civil party.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Madam Civil Party. My name is Anta Gise. I am International Co-Counsel for Mr. Kyew Sampon. I have a few questions to put to you, and my colleague Kong Samon will also put some questions to you subsequently. First of all, I would like you to make an initial clarification. First of all, in answer to questions put to you by the co-prosecutor who was questioning you on a S21 list, you stated that you had appeared before the chamber to tell the truth, and that furthermore, you had taken an oath before the Iron God. Now, when civil parties testify before this chamber, you do not have to take an oath. Can you tell us, therefore, when you took an oath before the iron statue?
Good morning, Mr. President. Madam Civil Party did not say that she took an oath, but she said that she is willing to take an oath. So what said by the council is incorrect.
Ça doit être un problème dans la traduction.
There must have been a problem in the French because we didn't hear that in French. So thank you for the clarification. Madam Civil Party, I would like to start by asking questions to you regarding the period prior to 1975, and in particular your meeting with your husband. Did you meet your husband in your village? And had you known him before? That is, before your marriage.
Yeah.
My husband and I were in the same village and same commune. We knew each other since birth.
Quel est le nom sous lequel vous le connaissez?
By what name had you known him since birth?
His birth name was Keng Chu. His grandfather's name Kung. My husband's original name was Keng Chu, and when he joined the revolution, his name changed to Keng Chun.
Vous avez indiqué que votre mari, effectivement,
You stated that your husband had indeed joined the revolution, first of all, as a soldier. I agree with that, and I've understood you to say that he did not have any particular rank in the Revolutionary Army. Is that correct?
Yes, I said that during the fighting at the battlefield, my husband was in the battalion, and in 1975, when Phnom Penh was liberated, my husband did not hold any position. He was simply a laborer who carried products to be put in the warehouse.
D'accord, là
Very well. We are still talking of the period before 1975. I believe I understood you to say that your husband had left your commune in 1974. Can you tell the chamber when you saw him again for the first time after he had left your commune? Did you see him for the first time again when you went to Phnom Penh?
My husband left for the battlefield in 1974, and in 1975 I met him once. We spent about half a month together, and then we were separated from each other again, and then we got reunion again in 1978.
Quand vous l'avez vu en 60...
When you saw him in 1975, was it before the fall of Phnom Penh or afterwards? That is, was it before the 17th of April or after the 17th of April 1975?
When I met him in 1975, that was after the 17th April 1975. My husband worked for the state at the market city where he worked as a laborer. I sought permission from the commune authority to go and see him. And then we got separated and we reunited again in 1978, and then we were separated and never see each other again forever.
Quand vous êtes...
When you went to meet your husband during this 15-day period, was that also at Phnom Penh? Was it the same place in the central market where you met him in 78?
Yes, I met him at the same place that is at the central market of Sat Mai.
Vous avez indiqué que...
You said that in order to have this first leave, you were able to have the authorization from the authorities. Did your departure in 78 for Phnom Penh, was that a result of your request, or was it your husband who requested that you be able to come join him?
In 1978, I was abroad to join the Khmer Rouge, to join the New Year celebration in Phnom Penh. So when I came for that visit, I did not return.
Vous voulez dire que vous n'aviez pas demandé l'autorisation?
So you want to say that you didn't ask for the authorization in advance to be able to definitively stay in Phnom Penh?
I did not ask for the permission, but when my husband came to the village, he asked the permission from the village and commune chiefs, and then the permission was obtained. Then I came along with him.
D'accord, donc quand...
All right. So, when you say that a vehicle came to get you in your village in order to go to Phnom Penh, in fact, it was your husband who came to get you. Is that correct?
Bu Win and Bu Pui were the supervisors of my husband, and in 1978 they drove a vehicle to pick me up together with my husband, and that happened in 1978.
D'accord. Maintenant,
All right. So now I'll come back to your arrival in Phnom Penh, to the Central Market. Could you describe the place in which you began working? I understood that in your response to the chamber, you indicated that your work was to prepare food for the people who were living with you. Can you tell us where you were living? And is it there that you prepared the food? Could you please specify that for the court?
That is true. I was asked to prepare a cook at the kitchen. That is to cook food for those laborers who carry supplies to store in the warehouse.
et l'endroit où vous habitiez
And the place you were living at that time, was it within the warehouses themselves, or was it a building that was set apart?
My daily sleeping quarter was separate from the warehouse.
et là où vous...
And where you did the cooking, was that the same place where you slept, or was that next to the warehouse?
The kitchen was at the place where I slept.
À quelle distance se...
How far was the place where you did the cooking and slept from the warehouses?
It was about 50 meters from the warehouse at the central market to my sleeping quarter.
Et votre mari, dans la journée, lui...
And your husband, during the day, did he work at the warehouse?
During the day, at times they carried rice from vehicle and to store them in the warehouse.
Vous avez évoqué deux personnes qui...
You mentioned two people who were arrested at the same time as your husband. When did you first meet them? I think it was Run and Ye.
The two people who were arrested along with my husband, and I got to know them when I came during the Khmer New Year in 1978, until the time that they were taken away with my husband.
Ils travaillaient dans le même...
Did he work in the same warehouse as your husband?
Yeah.
Yes, they worked together and they had meals together. That is the meals that I cooked for them.
Et pour combien de personnes est-ce...
And for how many people did you prepare these meals?
It varied. Sometimes I cooked for 50 people, while on other days there would be 40 people. So sometimes there were more, while at other time there were less people.
Et pendant que...
And while you were preparing the meals, who was taking care of your child?
My child was staying with me. He plays around the building that I worked because there were 3 or 4 cooks at the kitchen, so my child was playing around the area that I worked.
J'en viens maintenant au...
I'll come back now to the day when you received information on the arrest of your husband. I had understood from your testimony before the chamber that it was your 5-year-old son who told you that your husband left accompanied by the 2 people that you mentioned, Ron and Ye. Do you know where your child was when he said he saw these 3 people leaving?
My child was with my husband, and when my husband was put on the vehicle, my child saw it, and then I asked my child about the whereabouts of the father, and I was told that my father was put into a vehicle with Run and Ye, and that's how I knew what happened.
Alors, je sais que...
So I say that many errors were brought up in your civil party statement, but I wanted to nevertheless read what was indicated in this document. It's document E3/6425, ERN in French 011-52692. In Khmer, the ERN is 00544168, and in English 01114153. You already told the co-prosecutor that there was an error in this document because your husband had never been a cadre, but that he had been a worker in the warehouse. And here's what is said in this document, talking about a possible promotion. And I quote, "But barely 1 month after he had taken up his duties, he was arrested in his office, which was at the north of the Central Market, while he was talking on the telephone, and I was certainly only about 100 meters from him. I saw a jeep with 3 Khmer Rouge cadres in it stop in front of his office, and they asked him to join them in the vehicle. Then they left altogether." End quote. So in this statement, we understand that you were an eyewitness of the arrest. Can you please confirm to me that this is an error and that you did not see this arrest, and it was your 3-year-old son who told you about the arrest.
I said from the beginning that I did not witness it, and it was my son who saw it, and maybe there was a mistake in my statement. But it was my child who saw it. I myself did not see it.
Alors j'ai une question du coup pour...
So that leads me to a question on this civil party information form. You consulted a list here. You said that you know how to read and write. Who helped you to fill out this civil party information form? And did you have the opportunity to reread it?
I read it, but because I have a problem with my blood pressure, my memory does not serve me that well. And I also have a poor eyesight for reading.
Donc ce que vous voulez dire...
So what you mean is, when you reread these statements, you weren't very clear in your mind, or you're trying to say that you could have given a different version, and that was the version that was given at that time. Could you please clarify what happened?
I read it, and I consent to the content. And as a witness, I actually agreed to the record of the statement.
Donc ce que vous voulez dire à la...
So what you're saying to the chamber is that the errors that are in your statement that I've just read to you, those are things that you said at the time, but that now, today, you are correcting this version for the chamber. Is that what we should understand?
No, I do not correct my statement. I can only testify to my recollection of what happened, because it happened a long time ago.
D'accord. Mais est-ce que vous comprenez...
All right, but do you nevertheless understand that there is a difference between seeing an event with one's own eyes and when talking about it, learning about it through what your son told you? So when you tell me that you would not correct anything, and yet there are two different versions, I want to really understand, are you confirming that the correct version that the chamber should take into account and retain is the one that you gave to the chamber today?
I spoke from the outset that I, as a mother, did not witness it, but my child, who was with my husband, saw it. And when I asked him about the father, then he told me that my husband was put into the vehicle. And I told the truth to the people before they put it onto my statement.
All right. One last point that I'd like to raise with you You indicated, I believe, in replying to my colleague from the civil parties, that after the arrest of your husband, you had then been brought to Battambang in order to cultivate rice. Did I understand your testimony correctly, that after the pagoda, you had been sent to Battambang to grow rice? Did I understand correctly?
After I was taken out, that is on the day that my husband was taken out, I was instructed to work in a rice field at Cheyodam Pagoda. Later on I was taken to Battambang, but at Battambang I was not ordered to work in the rice field. I just went along with other people per instruction. But as for working in the rice fields, it was at the Cheyodam Pagoda.
Et la pagode de Cheyodam.
And the Cheyodam Pagoda, what period was that?
That is after I was taken out from my workplace. That is on the same day that my husband was taken away. So I was sent there to harvest rice.
Et vous avez
And you indicated in your statement that at the time that you were brought there, you were pregnant. In fact, did you work in the rice fields even though you were pregnant?
Ah.
After I was taken from my workplace, we were instructed to harvest rice without taking any rest.
Combien de...
How long did you stay at this pagoda?
I cannot recall how long, but the harvest was not yet done. Then I was sent further, so I cannot recall how many days or weeks I remained staying there.
Je voudrais une
I'd like a clarification on what you said to the co-investing judges or the investigators from the OCIJ when asked when this event took place. I am talking about E3/9479, and in answers 31 to 33 you talked about your period in Battambang, and I'd like you to tell me what this time period was. The question in question 31 that was asked of you is, what work were you meant to do in Battambang? And your answer, they didn't ask me to do anything in Battambang, but the unit chief nevertheless told us to go and get vegetables for the kitchen. The next question, were you given work? Answer 32. There, at 4 in the morning, the Silvapadi, single people, left me to rest quietly as I was pregnant. Next question, after you had given birth, did they put you to work? Answer 33. After having given birth, I returned to my native village. I needed some time before I could go back home. End quote. So, my question is, when you're talking about this rice farming and the fact that you were pregnant and you were allowed to rest, what time period is this? How long after your departure from Phnom Penh?
I was sent to work in the rice fields and to harvest rice. That is after I left Phnom Penh. So I left Phnom Penh on this day, for example, and next day I was instructed to harvest rice. And at that time I was 6 or 7 months pregnant, but I did not dare to protest. So I had to work every day like the rest.
Et donc, ma question de...
And so my question remains, when was this period in Battambang when you say it was only single people who were working in the rice fields?
I cannot recall the month. It was the month that I left Phnom Penh. So I could be there in around February or March. It was the times that the jail was collected, that is to gather the rice to be put into the sacks and stored in the warehouse. As for me, I was pregnant, so I was instructed to look after the children of those workers who worked in the rice field.
Alors là, vous situez...
So there you're putting this time at perhaps February or March, but February or March of which year? 1978 or 1979?
No.
It was in 1978.
Alors là, j'ai un problème au niveau de...
So there I have a problem concerning the time and the chronology, since I understood that when your husband was arrested and you left for Battambang, I had understood that you were 7 months pregnant. If you're indicating that your husband was arrested in October 1978, it's not possible that you were still pregnant, 7 months pregnant, if you place this period when you were working in Battambang at the beginning of 78. Do you understand my problem? I had understood that you were in Battambang after the arrest of your husband, which means after October 1978. Are you perhaps confused about the time period?
I stated in the documents that in 1978 I came to join the New Year celebration. So I was with my husband in that April. And then we separated in December. And I was pregnant. I was 7 months pregnant when my husband separated from me. And at the time I was living with my child while I was 7 months pregnant with another child.
Et donc, ma question est de savoir...
So my question is, when did you go to Battambang?
I do not recall it. It happened a long time ago, so I cannot recall the date. But my child was delivered in Mong Risai in March. So I went to Battambang and then we came to Mong Risai when my child was born, and it was in March.
D'accord.
All right. Mr. President, I would have one last subject to bring up with the civil party. On Mr. Chusampan, perhaps you would like to have a break now and we could finish afterwards?
How long do you anticipate that you need? 15 minutes or so?
Je ne sais pas exactement.
I don't know exactly how much time, but I think 15 minutes maximum. But my colleague Konsumun also has some questions to ask of the civil party afterwards, so I don't know how much we would need, but we will need more time. We won't have time to finish the civil party before the lunch break.
Thank you. And the Chamber would like to remind the parties in relation to hearing of testimony of witness to TCW 1069. The Chamber reaffirms its positions that this witness will be heard tomorrow, that is after the conclusion of a civil party to TCCP 1063. In relation to the relevant documents, they will be placed into the case file, that is during the lunch break. That is the latest information that we received from the trial chamber legal officer. It is now appropriate time for our lunch break. The chamber will take a break now and resume at 1:30 this afternoon to continue our proceedings. Court officer, please assist this civil party during the break time and invite her back into the courtroom at 1:30 this afternoon. Security personnel, join strategy to take Kyo Sampon to the waiting room downstairs and have him return to attend the proceedings this afternoon before 1:30. The court stands in recess.
Culture.